Hello, you are listening to Contemplative at Home, and you are always very, very warmly welcome here. So I want to invite you to stretch your arms out side to side and then bring them around so that each hand is clasping the shoulder blade of the opposite arm. You are giving yourself a little hug here, so maybe just sway a little bit, rock a little bit back and forth, and give yourself a big, big hug. And then find an exhale to gently release your hands back down to your legs, to your lap. And take a moment to notice how you are as you are crossing this threshold into prayer. What are you bringing with you today? The Lord welcomes you just as you are, so please feel so free to come with a genuine sense of whatever is going on for you, whatever energy levels you can bring. The Lord can only authentically meet us if we bring our authentic selves, so just come as you are and let yourself be loved. So I'm going to invite you to bring an awareness to your breath. We're just going to spend about 5 cycles of breath here, just resting and attentiveness with the rise and fall. You might want to use the little phrase in your mind, "Here I am." When your thoughts take you elsewhere, here I am. If a sensation or emotion becomes very strong in your awareness, here I am. Here I am. So indeed, Lord, here we are. Our desire now is to be entirely devoted to you. So we ask for the grace to do that, and we also ask that you would shape us and transform us and make us according to the goodness of your great love. Now I'm going to invite you to come with me into this story. Let's join Jesus and his friends who have traveled on foot to Jerusalem for one of the 3 great festivals of the year. And outside of the city, just outside the great Temple Mount, there is a pool. This pool has been diverted from the river. It's fed by a natural source bubbling up from very, very deep within the ground. And it has been developed and built up around over many centuries. And now it stands surrounded by 4 tall walls with Roman columns. And it has been developed into 2 separate pools so that there is a high wall with columns in between the 2 pools. A kind of Roman bath scene, you might imagine. And as this pool is just outside the sheep gate, which leads up into the Temple Mount, It may at times have been a place where people observed the mikvah, gone in for their ritual cleansing before entering the temple. But today, it is a place where people with all kinds of infirmities spend their time. Today is the Sabbath, when all devout Jews are practicing rest. And Jesus and his friends make their way in to this pool, Bethesda, the house of mercy. And they walk among the many here who are unwell, who are hoping for healing. Because you see, there are times when these waters stir. Is it like some kind of hot spring or some kind of natural bubbling that happens occasionally in these waters? The people here believe that every so often an angelic hand comes and stirs the water, and the first one in, when the water is living and moving, will be healed. Bethesda, a house of mercy. As Jesus makes his way among the many people here, he comes upon a man who has been ill for 38 years, for his entire life. Perhaps Jesus has seen him on one of his many trips to Jerusalem in the past. But when he sees him today, he knows that he has been there for a very long time. Let's take a moment to see this place. The high stone columns, the stone steps down into the water, the many people dotted around in porticos, the edge of the pool, tucked back into the high walls, people lying on mats, Jesus and his friends making their way through the crowd. Let's watch Jesus now as he approaches this man whom he recognizes. Does Jesus sit or crouch beside him when he approaches? Let's see the way Jesus looks at this man when he says, "Do you want to be made well?" And let's imagine the many emotions that bolt through this man on Jesus' question. He replies to Jesus, "Sir, I have no one to put me in the pool when the water is stirred up. And while I'm making my way down, somebody gets in ahead of me." Jesus said to him, "Stand up. Take your mat and walk." And the man, eyes fixed on Jesus, finds that he is able to use the power of his body to stand up, to gather his belongings, and to take some tentative steps, and then less tentative steps. Where does he go? Watch Jesus' face and demeanor in this moment. So we're going to go back to the beginning of the story again. I invite you to decide where you are in this scene. Do you come into the pools with Jesus and his friends? Are you already there, paralyzed in some way by something? Either way, I invite you to take a moment to see this scene in your mind's eye. The height of the walls, the color of the stone, the light in the building, the people around you, the color of the water, the way the stairs disappear down. I invite you to notice what you can hear. Voices, clapping, footsteps. Does the water make a sound? Are there any smells in this place that you notice? I invite you to notice those who are blind, those who have lost use of their limbs, and then our friend in this story, the man who has been unwell for 38 years. And I invite you to attend now to this man on his mat, who is alone, who has been unwell his whole entire life. Notice what kind of energy you sense around him. And again, I invite you to see Jesus. Approach and ask, do you want to be made well? Hear the man's response. Sir, I have no one to put me in the pool when the water is stirred. While I'm making my way, someone else steps down ahead of me. And now hear Jesus say, stand up and take your mat and walk. And now I invite you to see Jesus turning towards you and approaching you and saying, do you want to be made well? What do you think he might be referring to here? How do you respond? Allow a conversation between yourself and Jesus to unfold here. Perhaps hearing him say, "Stand up, take your mat, and walk." So I invite you to notice what you sense the Lord saying to you here. Perhaps decide how you would like to take your leave of the Lord. Is there anything you want to say to Jesus before you return from prayer from this scene? May the Lord of grace meet you at the pool of grace. Disrupt the places in you that are asleep and paralyzed, and gently offer you his powerful and merciful invitation to stand up and walk. Every blessing, my friends, in the name of Christ.